For some time, there has been a suspicion that life might have been found by the James Webb telescope on a planet in a distant star system. At that time, the idea seemed absurd.
But I will say this with an extreme amount of confidence, and they are convinced, like at 100% clip, Linda, that there is intelligent life in TRAPPIST-1.
Since then, this suspicion has been gaining more and more strength, to the point where significant figures have mentioned it. Some of them, in fact, are connected to studies conducted with the James Webb, stating categorically that 2024 is the year when the discovery will be announced.
I think we are going to get, a paper that claims to have strong evidence for a biosignature in an exoplanet's atmosphere very, very soon. Put it this way, it's on my 2024 bingo card, and I would be very surprised if I didn't cross it off.
May already have found that. It's just that they don't want to release those results or confirm those results perhaps for another year until they can be quite sure. But we found a planet which seems to be giving off strong signatures of biological life.
But what kind of life would that be? Would it really be in the TRAPPIST-1 system? And if not, which planet would it be? Most importantly, why hasn't this crucial discovery been announced yet?
If you ask me, do I believe there's life in a universe that is so vast that it's hard for me to comprehend how big it is? My personal answer is yes.
The idea of the origin of life remains a mystery. The study indicates that the process that led to its emergence here is something extremely rare and complex. With 3.5 billion years of existence, Luca, the oldest known organism with a connection to all life we know today, is considered the last universal common ancestor. Little is known about this organism that would have lived in the early days of Earth. However, a recent discovery suggests that this may not be an absolute truth. Some studies have explored minerals both in Australia and Iceland and observed something intriguing: the intriguing possibility that life may have originated twice on Earth. This could have occurred during a period when our planet was bombarded by other planets and asteroids. However, obtaining information about the Earth's mantle from that distant period is challenging. The Earth is constantly in motion, occasionally being struck by asteroids. Interestingly, the oldest pieces of the Earth's mantle exposed during that time are located in Australia and Iceland. During the research, crystals were found with molecules that we typically associate with life on Earth. This means we are talking about billions of years ago, even before the emergence of life as we know it. And these same molecules reappeared on Earth about 4 billion years ago, when life began to develop. The hypothesis suggests that microscopic life forms, such as microorganisms and bacteria, may have emerged during a period of planetary cooling, and later, intense heating eliminated these life forms. When the Earth cooled again, life re-emerged. If this discovery is confirmed, it not only reveals that life may have independently originated at two distinct times on Earth, but also suggests something staggering: that life is very common in the universe whenever basic conditions like temperature and water are present anywhere in the universe.
But I will say this with an extreme amount of confidence, that I have a couple of sources. I'm not going to call them insiders because they're not. I have a couple of sources that work directly with the James Webb telescope. This is an international project, the James Webb. It's not just the United States.
Right.
And that the Brain Trust internationally, at 100% clip, all agree that there is a techno signature and a biosphere and an intelligent situation that they are intrigued about. And they are convinced, like at 100% clip, Linda, that there is intelligent life in TRAPPIST-1.
It is highly likely that the analyses of all the planets in the Trappist system mentioned by Jimmy have not been disclosed yet, because this data is confidential. The team responsible for the analysis, whose request was approved, is still working intensively on them, which is common in the scientific field. However, it is curious that the disclosure is taking so long. Therefore, this delay may indicate something significant. Connecting the statements made by some figures in the field suggests that these individuals are hinting that the James Webb has already made this discovery.
Statistically, look at the Milky Way, 200 billion stars or so. Milky Way is, one of a couple of 100 billion galaxies that we can see in the observable universe. If you just crunch the numbers, the chances of life elsewhere are staggering. There's loads of water around. There are lots of carbon molecules and compounds floating around the solar system. We've already found 5,000 planets in our local vicinity around stars, many of them in their habitable zone where liquid water can exist. I think it's just a matter of time until we find evidence of life elsewhere. Potentially the James Webb Space Telescope may already have found that. It's just that they don't want to release those results or confirm those results perhaps for another year until they can be quite sure. But we found a planet which seems to be giving off strong signatures of biological life.
I think we're going to discover alien life next year.
That's a big prediction.
The reason behind this disclosure would be related to several factors. Firstly, to prepare the population with a progressive announcement program, which would prevent widespread panic. Secondly, it would be to confirm whether the signals indeed indicate life, ensuring it is not a false alarm, to avoid situations similar to the heated debate still ongoing around Venus with the detection of phosphine. Although it may seem extraordinary, this approach makes sense. According to some sources, the Fox branch that survived the Disney acquisition would be responsible for producing documentaries in which this information would be disclosed in 2024. Governments would have officially chosen the company and approached to release the information in a controlled manner. Some individuals associated with these governments have even made statements indicating that if the information is true, it has the potential to forever shake the way we gaze at the stars during the nights.
And so I've talked to a lot of people, and my view is that this is my opinion, that there are things about this that are really disturbing. And while I hate any kind of government secrecy, and if I could prove any of this, I would say it immediately, consequences be damned, I do sort of understand why they don't want to.
This program would begin in the year 2024, and continue over the years, gradually disclosing these discoveries. Among them would be the identification of habitable planets, signs of life on other planets, and ultimately, the possession of bodies and technologies of these beings. Coincidentally or not, there were recent announcements of indications of signs of life on the planet K218b, which is located 120 light-years away from us. However, there is a considerable suspicion that the planet to be announced will not be exactly this one, due to the large margin of uncertainty surrounding this discovery. This is quite different from what they intend to announce, where there is a strong conviction that some form of life exists. Moreover, prominent figures have been analyzing this data for some time, raising the hypothesis that this particular planet may have been observed before. I personally don't doubt that this discovery involves the Trappist-1 system, and if it is indeed with an extremely ancient stellar system, it may have gone much further than just microbial life. The Trappist-1 system is known to have 7 planets, with 2 of them potentially being habitable. Even though the system is formed by a red dwarf, a type of star known to be very aggressive with anything in its orbit. Among the 7 planets, the most likely to be similar to Earth is Trappist-1e, with similar size, mass, and radius to Earth. Interestingly, it has an equilibrium temperature of -22 degrees Celsius, which is very similar to Earth's equilibrium temperature of about -18 degrees Celsius. However, it's worth noting that this equilibrium temperature differs significantly from the actual temperature of the planet, which can vary due to various factors such as the planet's rotation, the presence of clouds, the distribution of continents and oceans, and many other factors. Therefore, this does not necessarily mean it is too cold to sustain life. Models indicate that its actual temperature can vary between 0 and 50 degrees C, depending on its atmosphere and tilt. This temperature range is compatible with the existence of liquid water on the surface. Furthermore, Trappist 1e is in the habitable zone of the star, a region where suitable atmospheric conditions allow the existence of liquid water on its surface, which, in turn, allows the formation of large oceans, increasing the chances of harboring life. Preliminary observations suggest that Trappist 1e has a thinner atmosphere and is less rich in hydrogen compared to other planets in the system. This is crucial since an atmosphere rich in hydrogen may be unfavorable for life on a planet. Hydrogen, being a light gas, has a tendency to escape the planet's gravity, taking with it other vital gases for life, such as oxygen and nitrogen. The reaction of hydrogen with oxygen to form water is another concerning factor because the reaction reduces the amount of oxygen available for respiration, a crucial process for many forms of life. Another negative impact of an atmosphere rich in hydrogen is the possibility of blocking sunlight. It can hinder photosynthesis, a vital process for the production of oxygen and the generation of energy by living organisms. Therefore, an atmosphere excessively loaded with hydrogen can interfere with essential life-sustaining processes. Finding a smaller amount suggests a chemical composition more conducive to life. Of the 7 planets orbiting TRAPPIST-1, only 2 have been studied for their atmospheres and compositions by the James Webb, namely TRAPPIST-1b and TRAPPIST-1c. The analysis revealed that TRAPPIST-1b, the closest planet to the star, apparently lacks an atmosphere, indicating that it may be a bare rock without a gas layer to protect it from stellar radiation. Regarding TRAPPIST-1c, the second closest planet to the star, it has an exceptionally thin atmosphere, primarily composed of carbon dioxide. This thin atmosphere cannot retain the planet's heat, resulting in a colder, rocky world. This characteristic surprised initial expectations for the planet, as scientists anticipated something similar to the features of Venus. Based on the characteristics of these 2 planets, many researchers began to assert that this clearly indicated that the star was quite aggressive, suggesting lowering our expectations for subsequent planets in this system. But the curious thing is that even though TRAPPIST-1e and TRAPPIST-1d were among the first targets of the James Webb, observed multiple times, detailed information about them has not been publicly disclosed yet. All we know today is based on reports from scientists who are part of the project team, a collaboration between NASA, ESA, and the Canadian Space Agency. As mentioned earlier, it is common to have restrictions on access to telescope data, initially available only to requesting teams before being released to the public. However, the fact that information about other planets was quickly released raises questions about what might have been discovered in this system. Especially when considering the amount of observations made by the James Webb on the planet. The possibility of having found signs of life would explain the caution surrounding the announcement of this discovery. But in a system with nearly 10 billion years of existence, what kind of life could be found? Firstly, I find it highly unlikely that what has been found is genuinely a techno-signature, as mentioned by Jimmy, indicating the presence of evolved beings, at least to some stage of industrialization, capable of emitting pollutants into the atmosphere. This would be an extreme scenario in terms of technological development, but that's just my opinion. The most likely scenario is that it is a biosignature, a sign or indication that some form of life exists, involving organic molecules in the atmosphere, such as oxygen, methane, and others. According to a study by researchers from the University of Arizona, the James Webb would have the capability to easily detect life on Earth if it were in another stellar system within a radius of up to 50 light-years away. This means it can efficiently analyze the atmospheres of hundreds of potentially habitable exoplanets, including those in the Trappist-1 system, which is 39.5 light-years away from us. Therefore, we cannot ignore the idea that this stellar system may be up to 9.8 billion years old, twice the time of our solar system's existence. This leads us to reflect on the idea of life having independently originated twice here on Earth. It may have originated at least once on a planet in this system at different periods of its existence. If this hypothesis is valid, it would have occurred over a significantly longer period than on Earth, possibly allowing the development of more advanced forms of life in evolutionary terms. Could this discovery involve the other planets? It could, but it is very likely that the planet is indeed the one. After all, it was one of the first targets of the James Webb, and researchers are still scrutinizing its data, which would make a lot of sense. But considering the sheer number of stars and planets at an absurd level, it is not challenging to imagine that we might have observed in a region that we do not know very well yet. Regardless of what is revealed, we will continue to follow the case, bringing the resolution in detail very soon. And what is your opinion on this case? Share it with us in the comments, and if you're not part of our community yet, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as this is essential for our channel to gain prominence, which in turn helps us create more content like this. Thanks a lot, and until next week.